Welcome to Know My Faith. It's good to see you and good for you to see us as well. Thank you for joining us. My guest is Gary Bates from Creation Ministries International. And Gary, my first question is, has President Biden been on the phone to you yet?
No, he hasn't asked me to consult with him on their search for extraterrestrials or their information about what are UFOs. But then again, you wouldn't expect him to ask a little old Christian like me.
No, but this is a pretty big thing, though, isn't it? With the Pentagon actually admitting that there are. They don't call them UFOs, though, do they? It's UAP.
No, they call them unidentified aerial phenomena, or UAPs now, is the new term. So, yeah, we need to get with the program and address them by the correct moniker. What's surprising, Rob, and I've known you for a few years, is that I wrote my book, Alien Intrusion. It was released back in 2005. And, even in Christian circles, people said, why are you dealing? Oh, you got one of the old versions there. But,
yeah.
Why is a Christian dealing with this? And, the whole UFO stuff, that's old hat. That was big in the 60s and the 70s. But I have to say, it's time and place has come. What I find really interesting in all the years I've been looking at this and researching is, will some governments in the world have been candid about what they find? Mexico, south of the border here where I live in the US, their military, the Air Force has released footage. We had the famous Mexico wave of the 60s.
That's right.
Shiny objects appeared in downtown Mexico City. They were seen on dozens of video cameras. And the natural inclination is, well, the government must know something about it. But they turned around and they said, we've got no idea what it is. But they didn't view it as a lack of control.
Yeah.
The US government always likes to give the impression it's in control of things. But I've always made the point that if these are spiritual manifestations, which some of them are, not all of them are, we can explain about 90% of them, then what would you expect officialdom to say?
That's right.
They don't recognise the supernatural. And we can talk about some of the characteristics of these, why indeed, they are supernatural.
Well, I think that's all covered in your book and in the film as well. And I've got to say, there's two books from. I love everything. If I lean down here onto my coffee table at home, I've got the magazines and everything. Just we have them around all the time. And your ministry is awesome. But the two books that I absolutely love from the moment they came out. One was Genetic Entropy by John Stanford, and the other one was Alien Intrusion, and just. It opens your eyes up, and as a Christian, obviously we have the spiritual side of us, but it's when you look at the facts and when the facts back up what we believe, you go, yeah, this is great. And what you've done with the book, what is it like 15, 20 years old now?
2005.
16 years, yeah.
10th printing, I think.
Well, I'm not surprised, but what you've done is you've step by step gone through the recorded phenomena, and then you've looked at how can this be, and come to a spiritual conclusion that it's interterrestrials, not extraterrestrials.
Yeah. So there were two views. So the old view, and I will say, even since that book was written and launched, within the UFO movement itself, there's been a change. So, when we came out with the movie, which was just a few years ago, which, was on cinemas worldwide, theatres worldwide, we were showing the UFO experts themselves using terms like it is not extraterrestrial in the sense that, people watch sci-fi and people whizzing around in their faster-than-light spaceships, that it is interdimensional.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you recall a scene in the movie. We had John Mack, who's deceased, but was one of the heavyweights of the UFO movement. He was a former professor and head of Harvard Medical School.
Yes.
And he thought, he's a psychologist by trade, and he thought, looking at all of these people who claim to have had alien abductions, it would make a good clinical study. And he went out with a guy who wrote a book called Abductions, Missing Time, Bud Hopkins. And he followed Bud Hopkins around. And we had an interview with John Mack on the Oprah show, and then later on with another PhD psychologist. And he said two things in both of those interviews. And he said, the way that the trauma of these victims expresses itself, he said, lies don't present like that. Imagination doesn't present like that. Only real experience can present the clinical symptoms that they're undergoing. And then when he was talking to another PhD, I mean, it just about blew me off my chair when he said, what we are dealing with are spirit beings. Now, this guy's a professing atheist.
Yes.
Right? Professor of Harvard Medical School. He said, we are dealing with spirit beings who are coming from another realm or dimension. And he believed that it was kind of, here to give us an intervention of some sorts to create this new awareness that there were these other realms. So I kind of said to people that, when they turn around and said, oh, well, it's typical of you Christians, you will just spiritualize everything you don't understand and say it's demonic. And I'm saying, no, hang on. It's your guys that are saying this.
That's right. Yeah.
I said this 16 years ago when the book came out, but your guys have kind of caught up because it's the actual evidence of the manifestations themselves and the experiences that people have that show that it is spiritual. We would say spiritual or supernatural. They use the term interdimensional.
Interdimensional. That's the thing is that
Casey says they are spirit beings.
Yeah. So the phenomena where he's talking about is the abductions, the alien abductions, which whether it's an Inuit, Eskimo, or a Kalahari Bushman, they all experience the same sort of thing, and all around the world, if somebody is abducted by aliens, so the phenomena is real, but the thing is the physics of it don't work in a call it a Newtonian universe,
naturalistic world.
You can't have beings that push through walls. You can't have unidentified aerial phenomena that fly at Mach 12 and then do a right-hand turn. It's physically impossible. So you've got there's one side that says, well, it's all fake. It's not, but in your book and in the movie, you've shown it's not. The phenomena is real, but also that it can't be physical.
Yeah, well, I kind of have a bit of a different view. As Christians, we think of the spirit realm as just being kind of vaporous and ghostly and ethereal. But when you think about it, the Bible records visitors from the spiritual realm. But whenever they visit us, they always visit us in physical form.
Well, that's true. Yeah.
Challenging to